Hello and welcome back to Out Here, Finding Freedom After 50, Simple, Solo, and Rural. I'm your host, Tom, and thanks for tuning in. I believe this is episode 4. It's been a little while. I think I'm 3 weeks out as opposed to 2 weeks out. I've tried to aim to have an episode out every 2 weeks, but summertime, lots of things going on, crazy weather, and it just doesn't always happen. This is a hobby project of mine, not necessarily something I want to turn into a business. Out Here is something I'm doing for fun, and I hope you find it fun and entertaining for yourself. As someone who might be approaching 50 in the later stages of life and finding that you're no longer living with others, you're on your own. Perhaps you've lost a loved one, or there's a divorce, or whatever the situation is, you are now approaching life from the position of embracing it as a single male. And for the female listeners who want to understand the solo male or what leads a man to become solo, by all means, listen up. We are in the middle of August as I record this, and in some jurisdictions, kids have already gone back to school, or they're getting ready to go back to school in the very near future. This could be elementary, middle school, high school, college, grad school. There's a recurring theme that I myself in life have had to deal with multiple times, even as recent as a few months ago, dealing with bullying. I have been bullied multiple times in my life, and I was really surprised to be in my 50s and find someone attempting to be a bully towards me. So with bullying going to be revived in social media very shortly with the return to school, I thought it was appropriate to talk about bullying at the adult level. I remember back in grade 9, our high school system at the time had general level classes and advanced level classes, general being for students who were not that academically gifted, shall we say, and advanced being for the ones that want to head off to university. And I was in the advanced program, but some courses weren't available at the advanced level, and phys ed for grade 9 was one of them. In order to graduate in Ontario with an Ontario Secondary School diploma, an OSSD, you had to take, among other things, 1 credit in phys ed. I was in a class. I was brand new to high school. I didn't know many of the kids in my phys ed class. Plus, we had a couple senior students in either grade 11 or 12, or perhaps a career student returning for 5th year. These guys were like men compared to us little grade 9 students. For the most part, it was fine, but there was this one character who I won't mention by name. He decided that he's going to pick on me. I'm shy, I'm withdrawn. I had a horrible case of acne, including on my chest and back, and it was very embarrassing. Shirts versus skins when we were playing team sports in phys ed. Quite often I was a skin, and of course I had my shirt off, and the acne is everywhere. And I was, very self-conscious about it. And I was also a very shy, introverted child. Many people knew to me it was not my strong suit being in this class. And this character, we'll call him Billy, decided that he didn't like me and was going to pick on me. Billy had 3 or 4 friends always with him, like, as bullies always do. And, would take pot shots at me and try to intimidate me. And, and I just wanted no part of it. And I always, find a way to exit the situation. So that wasn't enough for Billy. So he started trying to shove me around. And again, I would try to extricate myself from the situation. But one day, being a big tough man with his friends around, he shoves me from behind and puts his foot out to trip me, and I just land face first on the gym floor. And you hear a bunch of chuckling. I stood up, turned around. I knew who it was that pushed me. I didn't even have to, guess. Saw him. He had his back turned to me, and I didn't trip him. I just shoved him with all my might, and he must have slid 20, 30 feet easy. I was not a weakling. I just was shy. Then his friends are like, "Oh, big man, shoved him from behind." I'm like, "Well, that's what he did to me. You were there." He stood up and was going to start something, and the look in his eyes changed when he saw my face, and he realized I wasn't kidding around. I was going to knock his block off, and he backed off. After that, he never bothered me again. That was my first true lesson in standing up for myself. I had friends before who antagonized me and tried to push me around. I had a little fight in grade 7, but that wasn't really the same. This was someone unknown to me trying to minimize me, trying to hurt me, trying to antagonize me, and I just wasn't having any part of it.
Time now for this week's Campfire Question.
A listener wrote in saying, Tom, I'm in my 50s, and I still shrink away when someone tries to bully me or force a confrontation. What should I do? This person did not want to be identified by name. I just want to say thank you for writing into your question. I appreciate it. I think the first thing, it's important to acknowledge that you're being bullied. When the situation arises, to go, this is wrong. This person's abusing our relationship to incur some sort of something that will make them feel better by diminishing you. And you have to identify and say, this person's a bully. And then you have to say, this is not okay. This is not going to happen anymore. That's the last straw. In your 50s, you're probably not going to shove the person across the gym floor, and I wouldn't recommend that. If you have to resort to violence, you've already lost. I do believe in that, but there is a time and a place for it if required. However, that wouldn't be my first line of advice for people in their 50s. I think it's important to call the person out on it and use your judgment as to how to do that. It might not be the best tact, it might not be the best situation, or it might not be a safe situation to do it in the heat of the moment for a number of reasons. One is, egos can create mountains out of molehills. Another thing is, your safety might be in jeopardy if you're outnumbered. Depending on the situation, I would, definitely call them on it and say, you know what, that's unacceptable. It stops now. Depending on their reaction, you might get an apology. They might realize that they weren't doing it, or maybe it was a bad day, which you can let go once. But if it happens 2 or 3 times, it's a pattern. Apologies don't mean anything when someone keeps repeating abusive behavior. I think it's really important to call them out on it. And if necessary, contact the police, or if it's more of a legal matter, contact your lawyer and invoke a cease and desist letter. Any future communication has to be done through the lawyer. It's important to realize that if you're being bullied, you are a victim. You are being wronged. But it's important not to remain a victim, to not allow the victimization to continue. Especially if you're in your 50s, you have to realize there are boundaries, and if people cross them, there are consequences for, crossing your boundaries. Otherwise, they're not boundaries. So to this listener who wrote in, definitely realize there's no shame in being bullied. The shame comes if you allow it to continue. If you're in your 50s, you're a grown-ass man standing on your own 2 feet. You have to fight this battle. You have to stand up and invoke the necessary supports, whether it's legal, whether it's police, whether it's a supervisor, if it's a coworker situation. You cannot allow it to continue. This is not my advice for someone who's in school. And I don't anticipate school-age kids listening to this, so I'm not going to answer for that age group. If you have kids in school, regardless of their age, whether it's elementary, middle school, high school, college, I would hope that you would have a conversation with them and say, for example, if they witness bullying, to step up and say, hey, that's not okay, and help protect the victim as reasonably possible. Be a witness to the bullying when it's reported. A parent of someone who could be bullied, if you have a kid, it's always possible, tell them to stand up for themselves. And if it means they get suspended for standing up for themselves, go for it. It's a school record. It means nothing. No employer is ever going to see that. It's important that they learn to stand up for themselves. Once they stand up for themselves, word gets around and they will not be bullied again. That's just my personal opinion. That being said, it's free advice. If you don't like it, you can get your money back because it's free. I was really surprised in my 50s to have been a victim of bullying. It's happened a few times, and I just don't put up with it. Most recent situation, a person who should have known better talked to me in a very disrespectful way and tried to order me around. I'm 50 years old. You're not ordering me around. The first time it happened, I let it slide as, you know, that person had a bad day. Second time it happened, I stood up to them and told them how I felt and that it was wrong. It did occur a third time, in which case I had to go a different route. The new opportunity is way better. I'm definitely enjoying it a lot more. And that's all I can say about it. But I can tell you that if bullying can happen to me, someone who stands on his own 2 feet, doesn't take shit from anybody, and someone still tries to bully me, it can happen to you. It can happen to your friend. It can happen to your son, daughter, father, mother. It's important to recognize it for what it is, not be ashamed of it, and to deal with it. I think that kind of answers the campfire question about bullying. So welcome to episode 4. I'm sitting here in my closed-in porch. It's a beautiful summer night. We had some powerful thunderstorms roll through, some heavy showers, did some minor damage to the driveway today. And it's been a good day. Had a friend over for brunch, walked the dog, cleaned the house a bit. And I've actually been wrestling with a little personal matter, personal/professional matter, but not my main income professional matter. I am working more and commuting farther than I ever have. It's been quite rewarding. I'm being well rewarded for my efforts, which is great. It's had me reconsider whether I want to continue with my life coaching side hustle because I don't have the energy on my days off to work on another serious project. My main job is very demanding physically, mentally, and then adding on the commute to it. It's enough. It really is enough for me. And this will be the second time that I'm giving up on my life coaching business. I've been trying for half a decade, 5 years. As of this fall, it'll be 6 years. I like the idea of it. I really do. I like the idea of helping people in a formal setting as a coach using a really good proven curriculum. But at the same time, it's so much work to land clients, to interview them to see if they're the right fit, and then to do the actual coaching. It's time and energy that I just don't have as much of anymore. So I haven't made a final firm decision, but I think I'm leaning towards letting it go. On another front, again related to the longer commute, in case you're a first-time listener, I live in Northern Ontario. We get brutal winters here. We can have okay winters, but we have to plan for the worst, which is brutal winters. I won't be making it home every night, and I'm responsible for a stretch of road plus a very long driveway to keep open if I want to be able to drive in and out to my home in the middle of nowhere in Northern Ontario. I have an existing tractor with a pull-behind blower that's gotten on in age. It's as old as my son, who's 30 years old. And the blower's a bit newer, but it's seen better days. And a tractor with a blower is not ideal for that length of road to maintain. I also have an older pickup truck that can't handle a snowplow. It's not heavy duty enough. So I was weighing the options of buying a new tractor with either a blade and a blower or getting a new truck that can handle a proper V plow to do the road in the wintertime, big enough to do the job with the proper equipment versus a truck and a plow. It would cost the same amount of money, but a tractor is just a tractor. I can't use it for anything else, whereas my truck was getting on in life, so I decided to go with a new truck. I went with the new Ford Super Duty, and I have a Boss plow on order. One of the things I've wanted for a very long time, as part of my, you know, I want to call them golden years. I'm not quite there yet, but empty nest years, shall we say, is I wanted an adventure vehicle, one that I could hop in, go somewhere, park it, sleep in, crash in, and do photography because I loved wildlife and landscape photography. And in my area, there's so many places where you can go do this, but you need a place for shelter. The tourist season, there's beautiful fall weather, winter weather to go out in, but there's nothing open because all these places are seasonal. I been eyeing this thing. This is before I decided to buy a truck. There was this truck bed camper that was standing on the property of a local RV dealer, and I've been eyeing that thing for 2 months. So the day I signed the papers on the new truck, I stopped in and I said, "Tell me about this camper." They told me about it. It's used, but not very old. Had one owner that decided to trade it in for something a bit bigger with a slide out. I had no idea they made slide out campers for trucks that sit in the bed of the truck. That was a new one for me. So I bought it. I should have it next week. I'm looking forward to bringing it to the channel, Tom's Life After 50, doing a walkthrough video of the truck and the camper and taking it on a maiden voyage, probably into Lake Superior Provincial Park or maybe Pakasaw, we'll see. I look forward to getting back into the whole camping, photography, hiking, adventure thing. I'm really excited about that. And then there's other things I have to do to get ready for winter. I've ordered firewood that hasn't been delivered yet. But as soon as it gets here, I have to stack it. I have roughly 10 cords in my woodshed for this winter, but I'd like to try to be a year ahead with dry wood. That has to be done. I have to get some work done on the driveway, trim back some trees and underbrush that are crowding my driveway and the road, and also just improve the road and the driveway for plowing with a blade as opposed to using a tractor and a pull-behind blower. So there's lots of things that have to get done yet. There's some maintenance on the house that needs to get done on the outside that I've been dreading. That'll be on the channel when the time comes. There's a balcony on my house that has some issues underneath. Mice have been able to get underneath. And I know I got to rip that open, redo it, and clean out all that crap. And now there apparently some weeds or something have decided to grow out of some of the woodwork, so there could be some rot in there. So I'm just like, oh, geez, I don't want to touch that. And I'm going to leave that until September because July and August have just been way too hot here, too humid. I will do it when the weather's a little more amenable. So those are things that are coming on the YouTube channel, as are some camping adventures, photography adventures, hiking adventures, kayaking as well, hopefully. Snowshoeing this winter. It's been a time of adjustment for me because I have had to make some changes with switching jobs, learning to work with a new team and be a contributing member to the new environment. And that's been going along quite well. It's always new people, new dynamics, and you don't always read the situation right. You have to learn and make adjustments and apologize when you've made an error in judgment. There's no shame in that. You do what you have to do to make it work within reason, without compromising your values and ethics. That's very important. When I started out here finding freedom after 50, I had a vague concept in mind, but I really didn't know how it would turn out. Each episode has been a little bit different, and I'm enjoying recording them for you. I hope you're enjoying listening to them, and I really appreciate any feedback you want to leave on Spotify or on the YouTube channel. You're definitely welcome to leave comments, leave questions for future campfire questions. But I suppose we should jump into the campfire philosophy for this episode. If you're listening to this program, I'm assuming you're in your 50s or approaching your 50s, or perhaps in your 60s. You're a mature adult, probably male. This world, the Western world, has become very confusing with Trump, Trudeau, and Carney in Canada, Europe becoming more socialist, cozying up to communism in China. It's really weird. Plus, this woke culture and a big divide between the ultra wealthy and the ultra poor, and the middle class being hammered in the middle, pushed in two other directions, either towards becoming wealthier or poorer. And you're in your 50s. Hopefully you're doing okay. Hopefully you either have a good business or you're in a good position career-wise that you can ride this wave out. But for the people following in our footsteps, I'm really scared for them. But one of the things that's been gnawing at me is we could be doing so much better as a society if we just worked together a little better. And I'm not talking about carrying dead weight. I'm talking about hand-ups, not handouts. How can I help someone take that next step? And I've done that in my life in years past. And I don't know how I want to do that currently, because I know I don't want to be a one-on-one mentor anymore. It's so emotionally draining for me. I'm thinking about how can I make my difference in my 50s, because it's not going to be the same as when I was in my 30s. In my 30s, it was much more personal to me. I wanted to make a difference in one or two persons' lives, and I did that. And I'm so grateful I did that. I really enjoyed it. But how to stand up and help out in my way. And I know I can do some of that financially these days. I can make donations to charities that are making their differences, and that's going to be part of my plan. But I still want to know what I can do. And I don't know if that's going to be through the podcast or if it's going to be written like a book. I'm still working on that. But my challenge to you is you're in your 50s and presumably you're doing okay. You're presumably on your own or about to embark on a life on your own if you're listening to this podcast. The Out Here, Simple Solo Rural, Finding Freedom After 50 for men. My challenge to you is, how are you going to help the generation that's behind us? How are you going to make your mark? How are you going to leave this world better than you found it? If you're already doing that, or if you have ideas on how you want to do it, absolutely leave them in the comments on Spotify or leave them in the comments on YouTube. I would love to interact with you and get ideas from your concepts, because I'm still gelling, what form that's going to take for me. So that's my campfire wisdom. I hope you're doing well. I appreciate you listening. It means a lot to me. I try to make it meaningful to me, and hopefully that makes it meaningful to the people listening. There's no hard sell here on anything. I even mentioned I'm probably not even going to pursue my coaching business anymore. My only wish is that you do well. Keep the 4 agreements in mind, that you're impeccable with your word. You don't take anything personally. You realize that not everything's about you. Actually, most things aren't about you, and that you'll always try your best. That is a big deal. That's something I want to inspire in my sons and the grandchildren that are slowly embarking their way in life. I do worry about the world they're inheriting, and this isn't like climate change fear-mongering. This is more on a societal level. It's not the world I grew up in, not even close. In some ways it's better, and in a lot of ways it's way worse than what I grew up in. If you have similar concerns and have ideas on how you're going to make your mark, please send me a comment, send me an email. You can send it to tom@revolutionize.me. I would love to hear from you. I believe this has been episode number 4. If not, maybe it's episode 5, but I'm pretty sure it's episode 4. Episode 5 will be out in a couple weeks. If you have a question you'd like me to talk about on the show, you can send it to tom@revolutionize.me or leave it in the comments on the YouTube channel or on Spotify, and I will definitely get back to you. Thank you so much for listening, and we will catch you in the next one.